Around one-sixth of humanity calls India home, and we are the fifth largest economy of the world. Majority of our population is young, having great possibilities of further propelling our economic growth. Food-wise, we are the largest producer of milk, pulses, and the second largest producer of rice, wheat, sugarcane, groundnut, vegetables, and fruits. All these stats certainly make us among the brightest spots in the world, and we are set to get brighter as we stride forward. But these impressive ranks are also flanked by many those dubious distinctions, which paint a very grim picture of paradoxes we are facing as a country and society. India today ranks 102 out of 117 countries in the Global Hunger Index released in 2019. Surely there is no dearth of food items, but equally true is the fact that it does not reach to the people who need it. According to data by the UN agency, 14% of Indians still struggle for 2 square meals. Even in the 21st century, malnutrition causes most number of deaths of children below 5 years in India. 2 out of every 3 deaths reported under the age of 5 are caused by malnutrition. Nearly 35% children, that means over 4 crore under the age of 5, are not having adequate height for their age. Almost same is the number of children who are underweight. Health of children, especially newborns, depends on health of mothers. Here too we are faced with serious challenges. Over 55% of our women are anemic, and a quarter of our women in reproductive age are undernourished. This means our children are facing nutrition deficit right in the womb. While the undernutrition and lack of enough food makes a large number of people vulnerable to health risks, especially that of infectious diseases, including COVID-19, the malnutrition or overnutrition caused by overeating or eating wrongly is increasing the burden of non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, heart problems, and stroke. Bharat Nutrition Week is an attempt to strengthen the nation's mission against malnutrition and building a Swasth Ayushman Bharat, and to understand and highlight the nutrition in a more holistic manner and make all stakeholders from farm to plate look beyond their silos. With this, we wish to make people at all walks of life more aware about the need of making right food choices and also become a contributor in ensuring everyone gets an adequate share of it. Over the next 7 days, this conclave will put a special focus on stepping up efforts towards making India anemia-free, brings a special program on healthy food for people at different age and special needs, and more importantly, kickstart which contest for school kids in line with an idea mooted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his Mann Ki Baat public address recently. With this, let me welcome the very esteemed guests in our inaugural panel. So let me welcome Dr. Harshad Thakur, Director, National Institute of Health and Family Welfare, an autonomous organization under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, that acts as an apex technical institute as well as a think tank for the promotion of health and family welfare programs in our country. Welcome, Dr. Thakur.
Thank you.
We also have Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, Chairperson, Indian Academy of Public Health and part of ISW Council's Apex Advisory Board. Dr. Kumar is a public health physician with 44 years of experience across 33 countries. He worked in UNICEF for 22 years, in India, Iraq, Kenya, Uganda, and Somalia, and as a regional advisor for 22 countries. He is currently Professor, Leadership, Global Health, and Strategic Management at INCLEN Institute of Global Health and member of Governing Board of National Institute of Health and Family Welfare. We also have with us Dr. Hema Divakar, CEO of Artist. Dr. Hema Divakar is among the most influential women health champion in our country. She has over the last 3 decades been a game changer in healthcare, establishing a new benchmarks, standards, and touching women's lives in the process. An accomplished specialist in the field of ob-gyn care, she runs the Divakar Specialty Hospital in Bangalore. A former president of FOGSI, she is now the FOGSI ambassador for FIGO, the International Organization of Ob-Gyns. She is also a member of ISW Council's Apex Advisory Board. So welcome Dr. Hema Divakar, welcome Dr. Sanjeev Kumar. So let us begin our today's inaugural discussion with our esteemed guests. And I would like to request Dr. Harshad Thakur to begin with his views on how we can mobilize and fortify collective efforts towards ensuring India's commitment for holistic nutrition and health for over 1/6 of humanity that lives in our country. Dr. Harshad Thakur. Dr. Thakur, you are on mute, I think.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. And I once again thank organizers for inviting me. And I hope that this next 7 days will be quite fruitful and participants will be able to learn more and more about better nutrition and its link with better health. So basically we are talking about holistic nutrition for 1/6 of humanity, that is Indian population. And yes, India, we have a large population. We occupy comparatively quite less land, but we have huge population to serve. And as already mentioned earlier, we have 2 Indias. One India is undernourished and second India is overnourished. So we should see that both are taken care. Undernourished India will be taken care by health providers and gradually will leave over to them. And overnourished India, actually I will say it should be their responsibility that they take care of themselves. So basically, I am from medical background, epidemiological background. So in epidemiological terms, we have epidemiological triad. So for all these undernutrition, overnutrition, we have agent, host, and environment factors. So of course, in nutritional issues, agent problems are obviously nutrients. So we have calories, macronutrients, micronutrients, they play important role. Their availability, their not availability, their over availability, so all plays important role. Even their accessibility, affordability is quite important. Then there are host factors, as rightly pointed out in previous video. All the age groups are equally susceptible from infant to old age. So they have various issues. Both sexes are equally susceptible. Socioeconomic status, yes, poor socioeconomic status, they are more susceptible to undernutrition. Higher socioeconomic, they are more susceptible to overnutrition. And obviously, when you say somebody is obese, it does not mean that there is only high calorie intake. It can be high calorie intake accompanied by either under availability of certain micronutrients. So there can be various combinations. Then obviously there are other other host factors like education of the person, occupation of the person plays important role. And most importantly, as far as better educators are concerned, it is their habits, their practices, their behavior that plays much more important role. And then there are environmental factors. So environmental factors here, family, environment plays much important role, and there are social factors, economic factors, political factors, which play important role. Because already mentioned by Mr. Kamal Narayan, we have sufficient food, but the problem is poor distribution, poor availability, poor accessibility. So on one side, we are wasting our nutritional resources, and other side, there are families, people who are not getting enough food for themselves. This corona epidemic has shown us that another thing means there are issues like migration, which led to one part of the population which did not get enough food, and then there was another population which was sitting at home and they indulge in overeating. So we have seen that. So what are the effects of all these things, undernutrition, overnutrition? So obviously there are issues, health issues, individuals are affected, and this undernutrition, overnutrition itself are risk factor for various diseases, either communicable or non-communicable, and which can lead to other health problems. And then there are effects on the society, community. So it can be effect on morbidity, mortality. So morbidity is occurrence of various diseases. So we'll see increased incidence and prevalence of various diseases. And then there are mortality like increasing infant mortality rate, increasing maternal mortality rate. Our death rate is also increasing because of these various factors. And as already mentioned, we are ranking in all over the world as 102 as far as hunger index is concerned. So that itself shows that how we are hungry as India in spite of having enough food. So what is the solution? So solution, I'm sure we'll be dealing with the solution over the next 7 days. But briefly, I will like to bring out that we have basically 4 levels of preventions: primary, secondary, tertiary, and primordial. So first thing is secondary prevention. We try to see that each and every person who is affected by undernutrition or overnutrition, we identify them as early as possible, and then we treat them at best, and we try to see that they don't develop further health issues. Then there is a tertiary prevention. If somebody is already having serious problems due to this overnutrition or undernutrition, we try to bring down their health issues, and we try to provide rehabilitation. So we have various nutrition rehabilitation centers, NRCs, spread all over India. Basically, they cater to undernutrition population. Then we have primary prevention. So we try to see that before they develop undernutrition or overnutrition, we try to improve their behavior practices, we try to improve their knowledge, we try to improve their attitude towards nutrition. So that is primary prevention. And the best prevention, I will say, is primordial prevention. Means, and we can target this primordial prevention towards school going children. So we try to inculcate healthy habits from the beginning itself. So from school years, the children inculcate healthy habits, and actually their parents, their peer groups, the teachers, they should be role models. So that is quite important. And another thing we can see, we can have child-to-child approach. Basically, each child can try to see that their friends, their peer groups, they are educated. So we can have cascading effects. So here we are talking about school-going children. In addition, we have to also see that there are children who are not able to reach schools. So we should also able to target them. So there are various non-profit organizations which are working in this sector. So that is also important. Basically, this undernutrition, overnutrition is a vicious cycle. We have huge amount of poverty that leads to undernutrition, that lead to various health issues, which can lead to unemployment, underemployment, and which again leads to poverty. So that is a very vicious cycle, and we should try to see at how we can try to break this cycle at various levels. Next thing I would like to bring about as far as nutrition is concerned is each and every person try to see that there are 3 things as far as their eating habits are concerned. So there should be balance of all the nutrients. We should not concentrate on a particular nutrients. Then there should be moderation. we should not inculcate in food activity on and on. So moderation as far as the amount of food is concerned, quantity is concerned. And third thing is variety. We should try to see that we should have variety of items and not only limited items in front of us. So that is quite important, balance, moderation and variety. So I think I will stop here. If there are any questions, maybe later on we can tackle them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thakur. And a very important point you are highlighting, that we are living in two India, one which is malnourished, undernourished, and the other one is overnourished. Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, before we go to Dr. Harshad for some questions, you have been dealing and being part of many deliberations, planning, and seeing, even UNICEF's efforts across the world. What is the remedy for these two India? And how you feel that, as Dr. Thakur also said, that while the undernourished India is something which the public health providers need to take care of, the overnourished India is something which they have to take care of themselves. So how we are going to balance this, this paradox where I think maybe in large cases both of them may not be knowing that what actually they are eating there, because the nutritional issues are, I think, not only related to overeating, it is also maybe a deficiency of lot of nutrition in the food which even the well-off get to eat. So how do you see this whole scenario? Dr. Sanjeev, you are on mute, I think. Yeah.
Thank you, Kamal. And before I come to specific issues, let me thank you on leading Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council on some of the priority areas. And your theme, good food, good air, good water, is the underlying factor in improving health and nutrition. And I'll come to how a little later. And it's an honor for me to be on the panel with renowned international experts. Dr. Hema is representing a Federation of International Gynecological Societies of the world. So not only in India, she has headed the FOGSI in India, and now she is representing that. Dr. Harshad Thakur, a well-known expert in the field of health. So it's an honor for me to be on the panel with these renowned experts. I will respond in two broad areas, Kamal, on the question you have asked. One is, how are we dealing with nutrition issues, not in India, maybe in most of the countries. And then second is, what is the way forward? And I don't believe you have two different worlds of undernutrition, overnutrition. In my experience of working outside India, I'll give you an example. When I went to Iraq, I found obese people who were anemic. So it is not different worlds. So you have to look at each of the nutrients. A person may be overnourished for a particular nutrient, but at the same time undernourished for another nutrient. So you look at it together. Don't put them in different worlds and different interventions. What is wrong with the nutrition approaches we have adopted in India and most of the other countries? We have divided. In fact, I can use the word, the approach to nutrition in India is fragmented. And we have fragmented it into various categories. We have fragmented by breaking them into nutrients, undernutrition and obesity. We have fragmented it by breaking them into micronutrient, anemia, iron, folate deficiency, and then other people who look at iodine deficiency don't talk to each other. So we have divided. As experts, somebody is renowned in iodine deficiency disorder, he doesn't even look at anemia, doesn't look at malnutrition. So we have different programs. We have programs like National Anemia Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, that's looking only at anemia. But let's look at nutrition as a whole. We have also divided for diseases. Nutrition care in NCDs. Now there is a talk of nutrition care in COVID. So disease experts again have fragmented are interventions. Then you have program intervention. You have experts who are experts only in breastfeeding. They will talk of breastfeeding and nothing else. Then somebody will come and say, I am an expert in supplementary feeding. Another one will come and say, I am an expert in complementary feeding, looking at vitamin D deficiency. Another one will come and say, I am an expert in midday meal program. So they have fragmented by program. Then we have fragmented by life cycle. Pregnancy, neonatal care, breastfeeding, complementary feeding for children under 5 child, adolescents and elderly. We have split it again by life stages. Then we have split it by sectors. Education will look at only midday meal. They won't look at anything else. Then you have Women and Child Development Department. They will look at only integrated child development services scheme for women and children. Health will look at anemia and micronutrient deficiencies. Agriculture will look at production, agriculture in irrigation, etc. Then you have agro industry. They will look at products which are made out of fruit juices and others. They will look at that. Nobody is looking at the comprehensive approach. For example, we have been talking of infection. There are various programs looking at various communicable diseases. So there is undernutrition, infection, vicious circle. You have diarrhea, whatever you give to the child will get washed out of the gut, will not get absorbed. So you need to look at that together. So these are 6 ways we have fragmented our approaches to nutrition. There are many new initiatives going on for ages in India, and recent government has given priority to National Nutrition Mission, Anemia Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, and there are many new initiatives. And Kamal, you referred to the Prime Minister in the last Mann Ki Baat a couple of days earlier, emphasized, and 2 innovative areas he mentioned. He mentioned about nutrition monitors at community level. He mentioned about nutrition card for every one of us. That will bring things together at the family and community level. But what do we do? And I am very happy we are celebrating this month to bring things together, and we need to shift. And I am going to suggest 5 shifts in addressing nutrition. And to respond to your question, one is use life cycle approach. Don't fragment human life into pregnancy, newborn, early childhood and so on, because if a baby doesn't grow well in the womb, the baby is more likely to remain malnourished. In fact, if you try to correct low birth weight baby by feeding the baby extra, the baby is likely to become an obese adult. So the root of malnutrition starts taking care of pregnancy. In fact, I can go a step further and say there is an intergenerational link to malnutrition and overnutrition. So if an adolescent who is anemic becomes an anemic mother, has a lower birth weight baby, and then the cycle continues across generations. So you need to look at comprehensively at the life course and maybe go beyond intergenerational. Second is all the sectors need to come together. Like they say, nutrition in all policies. We need to make sure that nutrition is not just handled by women and child development or health, it is included in every sector. The third point is let's move from food security to nutrition security, and I'm very happy that that is happening now. As you mentioned, Dr. Harshad mentioned, we have enough food in the country of that food reaches the family, and how it is fed to the members of the family, that determines whether they will be malnourished or undernourished. The focus, the fourth shift needs to be, focus should move to the family, because that is the frontier of our war against malnutrition. All the food you grow anywhere reaches the family, and how the family cooks it, you may lose some of the nutrient during storage and during cooking. We need to make sure that the fight is taken to the front, that is the family, and how we empower the family. What is given, the Prime Minister mentioned, what is given, how it is given, how often it is given. So these are the three things we need to focus on. This. The next one is the spectrum of malnutrition. I said you can be obese, at the same time have micronutrient deficiency. So there are no two different worlds. I will maybe modify your statement. There are no two different worlds. You can have overlapping world, and that I learned when I went to Iraq, where I saw more than half of the adult population were anemic, and most of the obese were obese, and most of the obese were also anemic. So to conclude, only a holistic approach to nutrition, and I'm glad this week is focusing on holistic approach, then only we can achieve the target. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev, for kind of giving those 5 very important way forward to shift the whole nutritional approach. Hemaji, I would request to highlight what are the nutritional challenges being faced by our especially the women, and as Sanjeev ji also highlighted that anemia, despite many times, and that is the fact has becoming in our modern life, and also even in metros, that almost every 2 women out of every 3 women we see, whether it is in rural or urban areas, are anemic. So what do you think about where we are lacking in terms of addressing this major challenge?
Namaskar, Kamalji and other dignitaries who have already joined us. I must say that taking a cue from Sanjeev ji's concept of life course or life cycle approach, the integrated approach that is needed, I'm really, really thankful to Kamal and his team, integrated health and well-being. That's exactly what it needs, because from womb to tomb, it's like a whole circle of things that we need to focus on, because the very facts that Sanjeev ji mentioned, pregnant women is the key target, because it all begins in utero. So the little child in the womb who is exposed to the environment of either undernutrition, overnutrition in the mother, or the right kind of fuels which are going around in the uterine atmosphere, that programs the baby for everything that happens in its life later, may it be a childhood obesity or early onset adulthood diseases, or way beyond the non-communicable diseases. So the link is to be perceived by a collective effort. So when you say fortifying food, I truly believe that IHW Council is fortifying the connections amidst everybody who is a stakeholder in this entire initiative. And on behalf of my own organization, Artist, which expands as Asian Research and Training Institute for Skill Transfer, we strongly believe in the philosophy of connect and collaborate, because unless the different segment of SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals are not coordinated, the silos are not broken, and we don't come together for a integrated or a holistic approach, it is not going to make a very big impact. So going back to one little story of how we as artists were involved way back, 15 years back, the initiative was a joint effort by Artist and IIM Bangalore, Indian Institute of Management. What we were asked to do, we said go behind that ISKCON midday school meal, 45,000 children, every single year for 3 years, do their health checkup and find out if they're getting the right kind of nutrition, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, what is there in the component, should we change it, and how it impacts the IQ and the intelligence and the performance, scholastic performance of these children, as against those schools who are not being given this midday school meal. So we were supposed to document all the health parameters, doing the health checkup for the little children, etc. But what extra did our findings actually generate? It said these children do not have clean drinking water. They don't have the concept of washing their hands before eating a meal. So all these extra findings show us that health and hygiene are so heavily integrated, which again brings us back to the focus of what we are embarking today, IHW Council's concept of good air, good food, good sanitation, good education, good everything brought together for good health. And if we have to really expand this concept right across, then we need to bring all these stakeholders together, because it cannot be seen. So what we said about the dental checkup and mental checkup and eye checkup, etc., the more important than that was how these were influencing actual nutritional uptake and impact on these little children.
So thank you so much, all our panelists. So thank you so much for all your time, Dr. Thakur, for attending this inaugural session, and we look forward to work closely with you in the future also, and to keep highlighting these areas where we can, as a not-for-profit social impact initiative and institution, can contribute to the health of this country. And Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Hema Divakar, for all your support and your guidance, mentorship. This idea of Bharat Nutrition Week is your idea, and thank you so much for bringing it to the shape. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Namaskar.